Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Retro Warriors episode 414. Woo. As always, I'm your host, Justin Baker, and as always, I'm joined by viable human being, Chris Saturn.
You almost did it.
I don't get we'll find something better, but until then.
Yeah. 414 sounds
week.
like a weird number.
414 is it is a weird.
These numbers keep getting larger, Justin.
We're coming up on 420, which means Booger Man.
Booger Man.
That's
Is there a Snoop Dogg game?
As soon as you said that, I wanted to say I'd be shocked if there isn't, but there isn't, is there? I don't think there is.
True Crime Streets of New York. Didn't that have him on the cover?
Did it? Was he on the cover of it? I don't know.
He was.
No one remembers the true crime games except for people that worked electronics retail at the turn of the millennium.
That's why I knew about it. Yeah, there he is. He's right on the cover. Yeah.
My week.
I think that's him.
I'm still trying to get back into regular life after being at the convention for 4 days. I came home and my house was annihilated because my neighbor had an emergency medical event, so my wife had the neighbor kids to watch all weekend while they dealt with that, and so my house was destroyed.
Oh, that's a shame.
So we're still trying to catch up on everything. But I did, I was talking in the Discord with Marlo, our resident not lawyer.
Yeah.
And he was saying, hey, sell me on MechWarrior. I really want to like it, but I can't. The controls don't mesh with the human brain.
Right.
And I was like, that's right, they don't. I just haven't been playing MechWarrior for a lot of years. So my brain has, been rewired in the dumb way that it expects you to control it.
Yeah.
And I imagine if you had like the full HOTAS with the stick and everything else, like it'd probably be great.
Yeah.
If you had a full fucking Steel Battalion setup, it'd probably control awesome. But when you're playing with a controller, it's less awesome. And back in the day, I played with a Satex Cyborg 3D Gold joystick. It was one of the first ones with the twist. You remember when joysticks had the twist, Saturn? And that was the fancy feature.
Fancy.
And we had talked a little bit, and I was like, well, try, locking your arms to your torso. Try turning on the throttle degradation so that, you don't have to remember to turn your throttle off. And so I'm just trying to step him through, like, here's some stuff that might help you on controller. And on controller, on my game, I play in the advanced settings. So full everything just on a controller because I guess I'm a psycho. I don't know. And so he was messing with it. And then he goes, hey, I turned on FPS controls mode. And now it just controls like a regular third-person shooter. It's awesome. I can play the game now. Thank you so much. And I was like, I didn't know that was a thing. And I went into the game. Yeah, so I go into the game and I turn it on. And it's amazing. Saturn, it's so good. It controls just like any other third-person FPS game.
Weird.
I was so excited. It makes the game easier, too, because
what? Hold on. You just said third-person FPS?
Yeah, pardon me. Third-person shooter.
Okay.
I play third-person camera in MechWarrior. I do the drone camera.
Yeah.
I don't like the cockpit view.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's my third first-person shooter, narrated in second person. Okay,
like Zork. I'd also real quickly like to interrupt you to say that I zoomed in on the teeny tiny thumbnail. Totally not Snoop Dogg in this game.
Oh, is it not?
Yeah. Turns out that teeny tiny thumbnail kind of looked like him, but it was not. So no, I don't think there was a game for him. Anyway, go ahead. Your third first-person shooter.
Yeah, my third first-person shooter. And it's great. And it does make the game a good bit easier because you don't have to deal with your throttle. Because for people that haven't played MechWarrior, you have a throttle, right?
Yeah.
And so whenever you're wanting to do quick turns or stops and stuff, you have to wait for your throttle to catch up to the actions you're trying to perform. And that kind of latency between your throttle and your intention is, to the game's credit, kind of what makes it feel like being in a big stompy robot. It gives this weight to the controls. But when you turn on these FPS controls, that's gone. It's just, you literally just walk around dual stick like a third-person action game. And so it does make the game a little easier, which is nice because when you're playing on a controller, the game is kind of inherently harder to begin with.
Right.
But at this point, they've got auto-aim that you can adjust according to how you like it. So you can turn on like high auto aim, FPS controls, and just straight up play MechWarrior 5 like a third-person action game, or first-person if you like the cockpit view. And I think that makes this the most accessible MechWarrior game by a huge margin.
Oh.
as far as I know, and it's still just really fun. I'm still very upset that the Mad Cat is still not in the game. And I will continue to be upset. And I get every time I boot the game up, I go to instant action to play, and I'm always looking for the Mad Cat, and I go, oh yeah, the Mad Cat's not there. Oh yeah, the Mad Cat's not there. So finally I Googled it, and I'm like, where the fuck is the Mad Cat? Or the Timberwolf, because it's all Inner Sphere, and the Inner Sphere version of the Mad Cat is the Timberwolf.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, where's the Timberwolf? And everyone's like, well, the clans haven't arrived yet. In the timeline of the game, it is before the year 3049. August 3049 is when the clans show up in Battletech lore. And the Mad Cat is an Omni-Mech. It's a clan mech.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Mad Cat doesn't exist in the Inner Sphere yet. And everyone's like, well, it's not there because it's not 3049 yet. And I'm like, well, fucking make it 3049 and put the most iconic battle mech in all of Battletech in the game, please. Thank you. You've had 5 DLCs and there's no Mad Cat. What is wrong with you?
Well, they forgot.
You're doing it wrong. You have messed it up. You done fucked it up. And I want to be a big badass Mad Cat. Until then, I just have to settle with the Marauder, which is also pretty sweet, but it's not Mad Cat level sweet. I mean, who doesn't want to? Even people that don't know Mech Warrior know the Mad Cat. If I showed them a picture of a Mad Cat from a Mech Warrior cover from some time, they'd be like, oh yeah, I've seen that. I know that one.
That's the Battletech mech.
That's the one. That's the one with the big missile shoulders and the little dainty arms and the big round cockpit in the middle. That's the guy. Everybody knows that mech.
It's the one on the Mech Warrior 3 cover, right?
I believe so. It's on the cover of like everything. It is like the iconic Battletech mech.
Yeah.
And it is a clan mech, and we have not reached interstellar year 3049, Saturn. They haven't showed up.
I love that even though we're some of the biggest nerds out there, we still have to go into that voice whenever we say something particularly nerdy. And I'm not even critiquing you because I do the same thing. It's a rule.
I'm sitting here like, well, Saturn, the Mad Cat is an Omni-Mech, and it's got da-da-da. And then I'm like, oh, I have to do the voice to make fun of him. I can't.
Actually. It's important.
On the 414th episode of our retro video game show, listen to what these nerds sound like. Anyway, let me tell you about Kirby Tilt and Tumble. You're not wrong.
Yeah, I'm
You're
just
not
saying.
wrong, and I feel attacked. Okay,
no, I do it too. It's not just you.
I guess my point is, I've talked a lot about Mech Assault before and been like, hey, if you just want a super cash mech game, that's a great one.
Mm-hmm.
But Mech Warrior 5 with FPS controls and aim assist, aim assist turned on is pretty much better.
I'm just imagining everything you're saying now, but in that voice, and it still makes just as much sense. But if you want a superior mech game... Oh, that's just greatness. Oh, we should do the whole show.
Well, in the interstellar year 3049, whenever the Mad Cat shows up, it uses the Omni-Mech chassis, which allows for quick refitting between battles.
All of this is accurate, by the way, just for anyone wondering. This is correct information about Battletech. I'm not making it up.
Nobody is doubting you. And use the voice is more accurate.
Actually, Super Mario Brothers 2 was known as Doki Doki Panic, and it was
originally known as Pac-Man. Yeah.
Oh,
That's
God,
awesome.
this is
what we sound like.
This is the second show of the night, in case anyone hasn't figured that out yet. In case anyone hasn't figured that out, on our 30 minutes of pre-show about Dice and Zelda games, and then us making fun of ourselves in nerd voice for 10 solid minutes. This is our second show of the night.
Yeah.
We're a little loopy. Saturn, what have you been doing this week?
So I mentioned in the other episode the Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster. That's basically all I've been playing. I did, since I've got some downtime at work, in between just completely tearing a building apart, we're doing nothing at all. We're just like sitting there and napping.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought a book to read on my phone, and I was reading Scorch Atlas.
Scorch Atlas.
Scorch Atlas. It is
Scorch Atlas sounds like a knockoff Indiana Jones character.
I think it's post-apocalyptic.
Okay. Has the apocalypse occurred? Because that's your indicator, Saturn.
It's hard to say. It's a series of short stories, and I can't tell if it's supposed to be like post-apocalyptic journaling or somebody's recollection of their nightmares. I'm not 100% sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like at one point it's raining gravel, and at one point it's raining glass, and at one point it's raining teeth. And I've not encountered any rain that's water yet.
Teeth?
Yeah.
Human teeth or just generic teeth? Or
I don't remember if they specified. I think they did say human teeth.
Raining teeth implies that there's a lot of dentists in the clouds.
Yeah, there are.
Yeah. Raining teeth is my favorite Slayer song.
Well, the clouds is where dentists retire to. And now that Florida has fallen into the ocean, they needed somewhere to go.
Right. Somewhere to chuck their old teeth.
But it's very weird. It's a very strange book. I'm not sure if I'm going to say it's a good book, because there are some times where it's very gross and visceral and a little over the top. But other times it's just really fascinating. And it does feel like somebody is trying to explain to me a dream they kind of remember, but in chapter format. So it's
as soon as you tell me trying to explain a dream they kind of remember, I immediately tense up because I think everyone dreads those conversations where someone's like, "Oh my gosh, let me tell you about this dream I had. I was at the mall, but like it was also my first grade classroom. But then like I needed to check out, but my teacher wouldn't let me, and you're like, oh no." Please let that be the whole dream. Please let that be the end of the explanation of the dream. Oh, no. And then it goes on for 20 more minutes.
See, I don't mind hearing people's weird dream descriptions. I just imagine it all in the style of Jacob's Ladder. Anytime someone is describing their dream to me, I just assume that it is Jacob's Ladder. And that makes it better for me.
My wife exclusively has dreams that are just extremely mundane, normal things.
Oh.
So it's like she's just telling me a regular story about her life, but none of it means anything, and I can have no input because none of it happened.
So if you didn't happen to catch that first part of it where she says it's a dream, do you ever accidentally think she's telling you about an event
every now and then she'll be talking to me and I'll be like, wait, what? She'll be like, what do you mean? It was a dream. I'm like, oh, right. I'm the idiot.
Yeah.
I forgot. Sorry. I'll pay more attention.
But now, other than that, I've had a fairly I've had very little free time at home, so I've not had a chance to play many games, unfortunately.
Fine, let's do the news then.
Fine,
I guess. Kirby Tilt and Tumble on Game Boy Color, Blaster Master Enemy Below on Game Boy Color, Mystery Tower on Famicom, and Harvest Moon SNES have been added to Nintendo Switch Online. If you wish to pay Nintendo money for their illegal emulators that they're going to take away from you in a couple years.
Yeah,
thanks.
I'd like to actually take advantage of you saying that to bitch about something real quick.
Yes,
because
please.
There has been we're in the middle of not E3 season as we're recording this.
Right.
Jeff
Yes.
Keighley's Fluff Fest has already aired, but not the Microsoft event. And so already in the season, several games that I want to buy have been announced to be digital only. And I'm so upset about this. Because I do not want to pay full price to rent your game from you. I want to buy your game.
But Saturn, they have a gold version that includes the season pass.
There is no season pass in these games that I'm looking at.
But Saturn, it's you can download it early. So give up your consumer rights.
Yeah, I'm so tired of digital only things because I want to own my thing. I don't want to rent it indefinitely. And
I kind of get the feeling that you don't, for some reason, have faith that digital platforms are going to make your digital goods available in perpetuity. And I just don't understand why you would feel that way.
Maybe because they've taken things away from me before.
Name 1,000 times.
I think I went into my rant about when they stole that copy of Fallout 3 from me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Fucking
I remember that one.
Microsoft.
Speaking of Microsoft, they are required to pay $20 million to settle charges that they illegally collected personal information from children via Xbox Live.
That's scummy as fuck.
That is a tiny amount of money
Yes.
for Microsoft Incorporated.
This is why fines should be proportional.
I feel like they should have to like share their personal information with children. Oh, that came out wrong. You know what I mean?
No, please do not do that.
Then they'd get the jail time they deserve.
Yes.
A former WoW developer says he was fired. I was going to say that they should have that their children should have to have their personal information leaked, but that sounded mean because their kids didn't have anything to do with it. And I was like, well, I want them to be punished. Hey, little Timmy. Hey, here's a dossier on the Microsoft CEO.
That's much more tame than what I was afraid of.
That's your payout.
Like, hey, little Timmy, you want to hear what me and my wife did last weekend?
Jesus Christ.
Right?
A former WoW developer says he was fired for writing a plot point about corporate greed.
I can't imagine Activision Blizzard
shocked?
doing that.
Is anyone shocked anymore?
No.
I don't think they could shock us. I think if they were trying to shock us, it wouldn't work because they don't even it's so bad.
Well, they could shock us going the opposite direction.
What is the fuck? Is the fucking theme of just like dystopia this week in the news? EA Sports and Nike are adding NFTs to games, but aren't calling them NFTs because, you know, those are bad.
And apparently Nike was calling them NFTs separately, but as soon as EA added them to the game, they're like, no, these aren't NFTs. These are just These are just in-game items on the blockchain, and they're swooshes.
Fuck off,
Yeah.
EA.
Right?
Fuck off, Nike. Fuck off, Microsoft. This is my version of Good Night Moon. Fuck off, Tencent.
It's somewhere between Good Night Moon and Go the Fuck to Sleep.
Yeah. Argonaut founder says an HD port of Croc is on the way because someone wants that.
This is the best news so far today.
You sure as hell can't play the original version of Croc. It controls like dog shit. More rumors.
Also, it doesn't look great.
Yeah. More rumors point to a Final Fantasy IX remake for some reason.
So when they did the big mega leak, the NVIDIA accidentally leaked out with everybody's future projects. They mentioned a Final Fantasy IX remake, and that was one of the reasons why a lot of people were like, well, we can't believe this list because there's no way they're going to remake Final Fantasy IX. But damn near everything else on that list has come true already. Even unlikely things like Chrono Cross remaster and Tactics Ogre remaster. So it is plausible that this FF9 remake will happen.
I just feel like 9 is one of the post 2D Final Fantasy games that really doesn't need a remake.
It's pretty slow. It's pretty slow paced.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
You think they're going to speed the pace up? Because they won't.
They did say that. Well, the rumors are saying that it will still be turn based, and I'm okay with that. I'm ready for that.
Yeah. TMNT Shredder's Revenge getting Rabbit DLC. God damn it, Saturn! It's Usagi Yojimbo. He's a celebrated character.
He's a rabbit. Yeah, he's getting Rabbit DLC. I said it was getting Rabbit DLC.
You're not
I put
wrong.
it right there in the notes, Justin.
Wish you said it right. Actually, it's Usagi Yojimbo. He had his own comic book line that was adjacent to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and they had many crossover events, and he was in the cartoon. I'm excited about this DLC. I am on record as saying that I actively want DLC for Shredder's Revenge, and I was scared we wouldn't get any, and it's been a little bit, and I was kind of starting to think like maybe they're just going to let it be there. And then they announced this. I'm very excited. It's more levels. It's I think they announced some new modes. They said multiple playable characters. We know of Usagi Yojimbo, but he's the only one he's the only one we know about.
Yeah. Ooh, what if they had other rabbits?
I think it's going to be the frogs because they're already in the game. I suspect it'll be the frogs.
What if they add the rabbids?
The raving rabbids?
Yeah.
God, I hope they don't.
Or the minions.
Oh, the Minions movie was funny. I'm just going to say it. And call me a boomer all you want. That was a funny movie.
I haven't seen it, so I can't judge you.
GameStop CEO fired, replaced with Meme Bro? What the fuck's a Meme Bro?
That's a guy that used to be the CEO of Chewy, the pet food company.
Oh, yeah.
And he is apparently one of the big stonks guys who's real big on the meme stocks.
Oh, one of those. Okay.
Yeah.
One of those wannabe finance bros.
Correct.
Well, I guess not wannabe. He's
Yeah.
GameStop CEO now.
Right.
He is a B.
Yes.
Well, fuck GameStop. I hope it crashes and burns.
I
it can go in my book.
I flip off their corporate headquarters every day on my way to work. It makes me feel better.
I like to imagine that every time you're passing this same guy that's walking to work, and he's like, that guy really fucking hates me. He's been
What
flipping
did
me
I
off every
do?"
day for 7 years. What did I do? Sonic Superstars, a new 2D Sonic game, has been announced. This looks really fun.
It does
It's
look
like
really
new
good.
Super Mario Brothers, but Sonic-y. Yeah. I'm down for it. It looks really cute, really fun.
They did not say who is developing it. And
Yeah.
I am
Yeah.
in the rumor is that it's Sonic Team because we assume
Sonic.
that any Sonic game is going to be Sonic Team, but I kind of hope they bring in Christian Whitehead and his team.
I thought there was some bad blood between them
is
and
there?
Christian Whitehead. I don't remember what it was, and I might be misremembering, but I swear I want to say there was some kind of bad
That's
blood
unfortunate.
where he or they got upset. I could be completely fabricating, though, but I feel like I remember that.
That'd be tragic.
Persona 3 Remake accidentally announced early by Atlus's Instagram account. Good job, you leaked your own content. What are
they
you
also
doing?
leaked a Tactics spinoff of Persona 5 at the same time.
Yeah, they're really milking that Persona 5 cow for all it's worth.
Yeah.
They just-
Well, they haven't run out of letters yet. They've got P5R and P5T and P5S.
And they haven't done a dancing game yet for it, which they did for
They
Persona
did.
4. Did 5 get a
there's
dancing game?
P5 dancing all night.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Great.
Because I have the P3 and 4 dancing set next to the P5 dancing game.
Have you played any of them?
Not yet. I keep telling myself I will because I like rhythm games and I like their soundtracks.
Uh-huh.
But I haven't brought myself to actually play them yet. No.
They do have really good soundtracks. Man, they're good soundtracks.
Yeah.
Which brings us to our topic at hand. Which...
No, it doesn't. I assure you, really good soundtracks does not bring you to our topic.
Which is Super Mario Brothers: The Great Mission to Rescue Princess Peach.
Now, I know everybody has been so excited about the Super Mario Brothers movie, so we made sure to cover it. We wanted
Did it occur to you that we've now covered every Mario movie and TV show except the one good Mario movie?
I can't say that because I haven't watched it yet.
We've now covered everything except the one good Mario movie. We did the TV shows, we did the Super Show,
Yeah.
we did Captain N, we did the other Mario Brothers movie. We're doing the OVA now.
Yeah.
And we just did not cover the Illumination film.
Well, I haven't seen it yet.
Well, you should see it, Saturn.
I know. I bought
pretty
it.
good. It's for people that don't know, Super Mario Brothers: The Great Mission to Rescue Princess Peach was this had to have been direct to like it was made for TV or something. It was an OVA,
They said
wasn't
it was
it?
shown in some theaters.
Oh no, but select theaters. It wasn't
I
like
don't know definitively. I don't know how Japan handles that whole thing.
That's true. It's a 40-minute OVA.
Mhm.
It was directed by Masami Hata, written by Hideo Takayashiki, and produced by Grouper Productions, Nintendo, and Shochiku Fuji Company. Theatrical distribution also by Shochiku Fuji Company. This was
so theatrical distribution right there.
this was kind of an obscure bit of Mario history until suddenly it popped up on YouTube one day. And then everyone was like, "Oh my God, have you seen the 80s, Mario OVA movie?"
Well, I mean, it was a thing that was people were aware that it existed, but it was all these like grainy still shots was all the internet had for a very long time until I think there was some rip at some point, but then fairly recently, within the last few years, somebody managed to get a original real copy of it and upscale it to 4K and upload it to the internet, and then some fans did the fan dub. and I didn't bother to ever look at it just because I'd seen those grainy stills and thought I don't need to see that.
So, and for people that don't know, the reason why this is significant in the Mario Nintendo canon is that this came out in 1986.
Yes, right around the time that Super Mario Brothers 2 came out in Japan.
Right. And so this is a year after Mario 1.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, Mario 2 Japan was, it's the actual Mario 2.
Right.
And so when this movie came out, the only Mario that people knew was the Mario of basically the first Mario game, because even Mario 2 doesn't really advance much as far as like graphics or plot or
some
characterization or anything. Yeah. It really is just like Mario 1.5.
Right.
And so the only Mario anybody knew was from the NES game and the manual for the NES game. Nintendo hadn't even
Donkey Kong.
And God. And Nintendo hadn't even put anything out yet.
Right.
Because it wasn't the cultural touchstone that it was, destined to turn into.
Right.
And so this movie has it's like a bizarro version of Mario.
Right.
It's like the version of Mario if they never made more Mario games and it was just this forgotten 80s property that nobody remembered that, hey, they did that one game on the NES that was pretty good.
Yeah, and and also for the record, this is the first movie or show or whatever based on a video game. Well, it was not the first show because there was some American stuff, but it was the first movie based on a video
released
game.
On the same day as Running Boys Star Soldier's Secret, which was also a video game movie.
I'm aware of the Star Soldier thing.
Yeah. So that's why this is a significant film, because it is Mario, an officially represented version of Mario that is completely unlike any other version of Mario that you'll find anywhere else, because Nintendo is obviously very protective of Mario, how Mario is displayed, the Mario mythos, and they're famously litigious.
And they hadn't fully built up the canon yet, so this fills in a lot of gaps in strange ways.
And we know basically nothing about the background, the development, or anything about this movie.
Yeah,
it exists.
We know it is
there
licensed.
It is. Yes.
We know Nintendo let it happen. I'm sure somebody out there, especially in Japan, probably knows a lot more about the development than we do, but I wasn't able to find anything useful in any English language shit.
Yeah. So let's talk visual presentation first.
Okay.
This is a pretty low budget anime.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look great. It definitely looks like an 80s cartoon.
Yeah. I would say for anime of its era, it doesn't look too out of place. I'd say it looks okay.
Some of it is very a lot of the movie, because I watched it with Andrew, and for a lot of it I kept saying it felt like they ran out of plot. They had 10 minutes of plot, and they would get to a scene and just tell the animators, like, hey, just animate like 5 minutes of shit.
Yeah.
Because we don't have anything to put here.
There's a lot of that.
Because there's no fucking plot for Mario. The plot for Mario is what is in the original game's NES manual. That's all anybody fucking knows.
Yeah.
So let's go through this.
Okay.
The game opens up on the, titular Mario brother, not the game. The movie opens up on Mario playing Famicom.
Yes.
Late at night.
Because this is an isekai.
Yes. And Luigi comes in this weird fucking nightgown that looks very Mario 2 US.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of things in this movie that I don't want to call them prophetic. But I don't know what you call it when you are the first piece of media to depict something in this way, and then it becomes a very well-known part of that thing's mythos.
Well, who's to say that the team at Nintendo didn't see this movie and take some inspiration for later games in the series?
That's what I'm thinking, and I think that some of it is so specific that we cannot discount that.
Right. It does feel like later Mario games reference this in ways.
Yeah. Princess Peach comes up on the screen. She's basically in the video game begging for help. She pops out of the screen. Bowser comes out and grabs her. First of all, Bowser is fucking enormous.
Yeah.
He's huge.
Yeah.
He captures her, and then Mario wants to go after her, but he thinks the whole thing was a dream because he was up late night playing video games. Oddly enough, the video game he's playing doesn't look anything like Mario.
No, but he does have her necklace. So
he does. He gets her necklace.
He feels like it's real, and he is immediately in love with her because that's what happens. You just instantly fall in love with a person you don't know.
Yeah, right. That's how it works.
Yeah.
And so then we cut to their shop. And so far, we've not seen Luigi in his overalls yet because he was in a nightgown. And they run like what I guess is a junk shop. I can't tell what it is.
Store or something.
Something like that. In what appears to be like a desert.
Yeah.
Which is very weird.
Yeah.
And you finally see Luigi and Mario in broad daylight. Mario's emblem on his hat is yellow instead of white. But other than that, looks pretty close to Mario. Luigi is wearing the inverse colors of Mario, dark blue overalls and red shirt.
I thought he was wearing a yellow shirt.
Or yellow. Like it's like a must. I forgot. In the VHS cover, they depict Luigi as red shirt, yellow overalls. But in the show, it's this mustard yellow shirt. Blue and mustard yellow.
Yeah. Which
And
almost feels like closer to Waluigi colors than it does to
It's
Luigi
strange. And so keep in mind, there is no established personality for Mario and Luigi at this juncture in 1986. None at all.
So what they decided on is Mario is a lovesick puppy, and Luigi is a greedy asshole.
So Luigi really does feel Wario-esque.
Yeah.
And his greed comes up many times throughout this show. So he has the gym, and he's like, well, if it's fake, why do I have this gym? And so Luigi goes, oh, well, let me look it up in my book about the Mushroom Kingdom, because that's the Mushroom Kingdom gym. How the fuck would he know that?
Right.
And then they find the gym in the book, and they go, well, let's call the author and find out what's up with that. And Mario just knows the author's phone number.
Right.
And then they call the author, and the author's like, oh, hey, Mario, how would he know him?
Right. And also, if Princess Peach reached through the screen of a fictional video game, how is the Mushroom Kingdom also a real thing?
Right. So it's making no sense. But pretty much off the bat, you can tell that this is about on the production and plot continuity level as like one of the Rankin and Bass specials.
Right, yeah.
For people that have seen any of those, you know, your Rudolphs and your Frosty the
Right.
Snowman stop motion specials.
Yeah.
It's about at that level of logic most of the time. It's somewhere stuck between that and like Looney Tunes.
So he calls this person, and then a blue caterpillar dog shows up.
Yes, a weird dogapede.
Yes, and it shows up to escort them to a wizard.
Yeah. Well, they have a chase with this dog in the desert, and it is the only time pipes are depicted in this film. They are silver.
Yeah.
And they go through these pipes chasing this dog, and then eventually Luigi gets sucked into a pipe looking for Mario. Might I add, exactly like the new movie.
I haven't seen the new movie, so I can't speak to that.
Exactly like the new movie. And then, yes, there is a weird wizard for some fucking reason who they're now sucked into, presumably this fantasy Mushroom Kingdom. We're told that Koopa is from the Metal Kingdom.
Yeah.
Because
he's metal.
Because there's a Mushroom Kingdom, so there's got to be all these other kingdoms. So multiple other kingdoms are mentioned throughout the movie.
You know, and
which is interesting.
In the new movie, Koopa is played by Jack Black, and Jack Black is also very metal.
Yes, he's quite metal.
So basically, it's the same thing.
They call Koopa a dragon, which I thought was interesting.
They also call him that in the manual.
True. This is true. They show, this is the first time we see, I don't want to call them toads because toads aren't really a thing yet.
Yeah.
Right? We have Toad, the one toad in the game that, you know, talks to Mario, tells your princess is another castle, but that's it. So now they're having to depict all these different toads, and they are wildly different designed.
Yeah.
All their heads are different because they're telling the story of how King Koopa showed up.
Right.
And there's like toads with stars on their heads and like purple and stripes. They're so much cooler.
And those toads have no stars on theirs.
They're so much cooler than the toads that we end up with in real life. And it does, I will say, to its credit, they were familiar with the NES game, pretty intimately familiar, because they do have a lot of references to the manual.
Oh, yeah.
Koopa, calling Koopa a dragon. They mentioned that the mushroom people are turned into bricks and plants, which was in the original manual, and Nintendo quickly was like, no, that's not what happened. So they were familiar with the game. There was just nothing to fucking go off of.
Right. They just had very little content, and they just had to kind of make it work.
Yeah. And then, of course, Mario wants to save Peach because, like you said, he's a lovesick puppy, and he saw a woman on a screen for a moment, so he wants to marry her.
Yes.
And all he wants to talk about is marrying her. And then he gets excited and suddenly kind of turns into a kind of racist sombrero guy shooting 6-shooters with a bandolier on.
Yeah.
For some reason, and then is that way for a long time because he got excited about something.
It is an awkwardly long scene.
Yeah. So they're sent out to find three items. They have to find a mushroom,
Yeah.
a flower, and a star.
Right. And they're called weapons.
And is the dog's name Kippadango?
Yeah.
The fuck does that mean?
I don't know. It's just a weird name. And it turns out to mean nothing by the end, but we'll get to that point.
Yeah. So this is the point where I need to mention that I didn't know there was a dub.
Oh.
I knew of the subbed version, and that's when I was going to watch, but you're like, yeah, I'm watching the dub, and I was like, oh, I'll check that out. So that's the version me and Andrew watched. And went into it totally blind.
Yeah, I also watched the dub, and I would like to say that I've seen a lot of reviews online that talk about how it is one of the best fan dubs out there. And,
yes, I've seen that as well many times.
And maybe it is. I don't watch a ton of fan dubs, and so I am not familiar with the quality of fan dubs. So I was not prepared for any of this going in.
So after watching it, I went to also look at reviews, and people are they're praising this fan dub.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to say this.
Mm-hmm.
The people that did this dub did it at potential legal ramifications. I mean, they could get in trouble with Nintendo for doing this. They did it for presumably free.
Right.
And they obviously put in a lot of effort and work to make something more watchable, to preserve it for the community that we are a part of.
Yeah.
And I want to thank them for their effort.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They put a lot of effort and time and energy into this, and they should be applauded.
And I want to say that it's extremely important that people continue doing what they do in preserving these things. That said,
it's pretty painful.
Holy fucking shit, man. So first of all, they've got the Mario Brothers doing this kind of accent, but they're just saying the words, but they're not really doing the accent. So it's just like, hey, it's a Mario. But there's no real effort into it. And then they dubbed, there's a lot of montages of people walking, because again, they're filling time, and they dub the songs.
Oh, that song is so bad.
And the person singing it is singing like he's trying not to wake up someone in the next room over, but also trying to sing at full volume. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So did you look up what the song sounded like in Japanese?
No, I didn't.
Basically the same.
Really?
Yeah.
So they were just copying the tone.
Yeah.
So in a way, accurate.
Yeah.
It's still really hard to listen to.
It's rough.
And there's a lot of walking, and it's this one dubbed song, and it's just terrible. And Andrew kept singing it during the parts where the song wasn't the whole time we were watching it.
That sounds like something Andrew would do. Yeah. I would also like to say one weird thing I noticed with the dub is there's sometimes where they use Japanese names of things, versus other times where they use translations because it is in English. And I couldn't figure out exactly what the dividing line they were going by was. But like that song keeps saying Doki Doki, which is a Japanese onomatopoeia.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the song is in English. And so that seemed weird to me. And and also Lakitu kept referring to himself by his Japanese name, which seemed weird to me. But it's just oddities with the translation.
So straight up, they are making their little camp. And Goombas show up. There's 2 Goombas in this whole movie, and they can talk, and I wish they couldn't. Because
they sound like they're on a bunch of helium.
Yeah, they sound like Alvin and the Chipmunks showing up to foil Mario. And they show up, and they just are little liars. They're little shits that show up, and they fucking lie to the Mario brothers.
Yeah, constantly.
And they try to get them to do shit to fuck their day up.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Luigi finds a big patch of mushrooms, and they're all sorts of different colors. And of course, he just starts eating wild mushrooms that he finds.
Yeah, they start getting really high on mushrooms, and Luigi has all these weird side effects.
Yeah, well, Mario, being the mushroom expert he is apparently, is like, oh, that's a crying mushroom, that's a laughing mushroom. And in my head, I'm like, well, they're all just psilocybin mushrooms, I think, is really what we've established here. And then all of a sudden, a huge fucking Koopa. And the Koopas
Koopa
are like
Paratroopa.
Yeah, they're like the size of airships.
Yes.
Shows up and scoops up Mario, and it talks.
Yeah.
For some
while
god-awful
holding Mario
reason.
in its mouth.
And it's got this terrible voice, and it flies and it goes to give him to its babies.
But its babies are birds and not paratroopers.
They're not turtles, they're just fucking birds.
Right.
And this is when Mario looks up and he sees the first weapon, the mushroom, for some reason frozen in a block of ice.
Yeah, that's where you keep mushrooms.
And
not in the field with all the other mushrooms.
Luigi gets up there. There's some kind of there's weird Japanese slapstick in this a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And for people that aren't aware, Japanese slapstick is very distinctly different than American slapstick.
True.
And so there's this kind of slapstick moment of Luigi showing up to get fed to the baby birds.
Yeah.
But then Mario being like, no, I think this food is poison. Let me try a bite. And he bites Luigi. And it's just this kind of like dumb moment.
Yeah.
And then he goes up there and he gets the fucking frozen mushroom. We don't know why it's frozen.
Yeah.
He pulls it off and coins just start popping out of this mountain.
Yeah.
And this is when we get our first actual Mario music that I noticed anyway. Yeah. And there is like legit, Koji Kondo Mario music in here.
Just taken directly from the NES, not like recomposed or anything.
Yeah, no, it's just from the NES.
Yeah.
So they end up back on the ground. They've slid down this mountain. They've got the special mushroom. And all of a sudden, mushroom people were in the mushroom patch that they were eating. And I guess they were turned into regular mushrooms. And they show up and they're all talking to them. And they're all strange depictions of mushroom people. They are not toads.
Yeah.
They all have weird heads. They're different sizes.
Yeah, they're far more humanish looking, but with mushroom features. And the one that is talking to them about the super mushroom, which is super tiny for some reason, sounds like a 3-year-old to me.
But it's the only one that's in an adult-sized body.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was someone's kid or something, but then all the other ones are way smaller, like they're children. It was just really weird.
It was a really weird scene.
And so they finish the scene. You talk to the mushroom people. Great, you've got your mushroom.
Yeah.
And they have more walking and more of the song. And in it, there's a moment in this like walking montage where Mario grows like 10 stories tall.
Yeah.
Presumably after using the
super mushroom.
Super mushroom. That's what you assume happened. And that's important because we'll come back to that.
Yeah. And
this is when my notes just say, this movie sucks. Oh God, more music. Please stop is what I wrote. And so then,
is pretty painful, man.
There are bullet bills out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then massive Koopas, and then Mario's 10 stories tall.
Yeah.
And then they keep depicting Luigi as grabbing all these fucking coins and filling this perpetually not full bag with coins.
Yes.
And they come up to piranha plants.
Well, first the Goombas show up again. And
they show up again and direct them to the piranha plants. Yeah. And the piranha plants are regular flower sized.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden they grow. And the piranha plants, I feel they're pretty accurate to the game.
It's not bad.
They grow their little vines.
Though they do end up getting enormous.
They do. They get a little too big. Everything in this movie, everything depicted is gargantuan compared to the scale of the video game.
I wonder if they were trying to scale everything to the size of small Mario being a human size. Mm-hmm. And therefore, since the enemies are the same size as small Mario, they should be as tall as a man.
I was trying to figure the same thing out, too, as far as the scale. The conclusion I came to was they consider the depictions of the enemies in the game to be abstract depictions, because some of them are even larger than just a man size. They're gargantuan. They're like 10 stories tall.
Is absolutely enormous.
It's like a Boeing, like
Yeah.
fucking up in the air, talking, going to its regular bird babies.
Right.
It's so weird.
And the bird babies are the size of Mario. Actually, they're taller than him.
I don't understand.
That's weird.
So then Lakitu shows up with his weird robot voice.
Yeah.
And apparently the piranha flowers are his flowers. And he pops out a bunch of spinies.
Oh, also,
and there's
before Lakitu shows up, Mario attacks the plants with pepper.
yes, they go to eat him, and he pours pepper down their throat.
Yeah.
And you know,
There's some
That-
Burger
that's
Time
some
action
Mario-
going on.
it's a Mario thing he does is
Yeah.
pepper attack.
Right?
And so Lakitu shows up, and this one is Lakitu is weird. First of all, they basically imply that his cloud is mechanical. It's got these
Yeah.
levers. It's like robotic. He
Which I
pops
think
out a
the
bunch.
Western cartoon made that same joke about his cloud.
Did it?
I think
guess I
so.
don't remember that one. So maybe another way it was prophetic then. So he drops all these spinies, and they stay on their ball form until he like uses his cloud to create weather to make a storm, to then pop out a little tiny sun to like water and grow them to turn
Yeah.
into adult spinies, which
Yeah.
are also again gargantuan. Yeah.
Also, Lakitu keeps saying his own name like he's a Pokemon.
Yes. Yes. And so, you know, antics ensue, but eventually Mario gets Lakitu's cloud
Yeah.
and spins
Well,
entirely...
before that, a beanstalk grows into his ass.
Yeah, grows into his ass, and then he gets Lakitu's cloud.
Yeah.
And he spends entirely too much time on Lakitu's cloud.
Yeah, trying to
It's like
control
a
the weather.
It's like a 3-minute segment of Mario sitting there with spinies as Luigi is, or Luigi's sitting with spinies. Mario's on the cloud, pulling different levers, making snow and rain and sun, and it keeps cutting back to show them reacting to the different weather.
Well, what's weird is apparently the way you kill spinies is cover them in snow, and then when
Yeah.
you melt the snow, they're just gone.
Yes,
They-
I think
they
they died
turn into
and then
plants.
disappeared or something. Yeah,
It's weird.
really strange. So they've created this weird Mushroom Kingdom ecology
Yeah.
that involves Lakitu and robotics and spinies and piranha plants.
It's very strange.
So then Mushroom it's not really clear.
Uh-huh.
He does all this different shit, and then all of a sudden Mushroom people just show up
Yeah.
with the flower.
Yeah. Only this
That
one didn't
you-
sound like a 3-year-old.
Yeah, but then I couldn't really follow the scene because again, the logic of this movie is so stilted that it's hard to really tell how things are supposed to transition into one another.
Yeah. It felt
And-
like once the spinies melted, they turned into the flower?
Is that what
I
I
can't
couldn't tell. But yeah, mushroom people show up out of nowhere and they're like, "Here's the flower," and so then they have
Another montage.
another montage with the song
Yeah.
"Doki Doki."
And for some reason during this one, like in the last one, he got big because of the super mushroom. Now he's got firepower because he's got the fire flower, and he kills
Yeah.
a Buzzy Beetle with it immediately. That's the first thing he does. Which, if you've ever played Mario, you can't do that. That's the one thing you can't kill with a fire flower. There's
and
one enemy.
they were also the size of tanks.
Of course, they were the size of tanks. Everything is the size of tanks. But that's the only enemy you can't kill with a fire flower. And what's the first thing he does? He kills one of them with a fire flower.
But then we see shortly after this Luigi mining for coins,
Yeah.
and I would very much say this is an allusion to Captain Toad. He looks very Captain Toad in these moments.
I can see that.
Just putting it out there. But then we get some weird fucking shit. Mario hits a brick
Yeah.
and ramen noodles come out of it.
Yeah, with his face on them.
Why?
Because it was a cross promotion because they were actually selling those ramen noodles at the time.
Jesus
It's
Christ.
product placement in the middle of this movie.
In case you were wondering, Nintendo didn't even have shame in 1986. So
No.
just putting it out there. So yeah, you get ramen noodles, but the ramen noodles are a plot point. It distracts him
Yeah.
from something else that I don't even remember what it was. Something else was going on. And because he ate the noodles, like something bad happened.
Yeah, they got imprisoned in a gold mine or something.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yes. So then we cut. This is the first time we've cut back to Princess Peach.
Yeah.
And she's talking to King Koopa.
Actually,
And
before we get to that, when they first get imprisoned in the gold mines, the Goombas call over a Hammer Brother to watch
Yes.
them. And for some reason, the Hammer Brother throws his hammer, it lands in the wall, and the reaction from Mario is in the dub anyway is a hammer, and I don't know why, but that just fucking cracked me up.
So we cut to Peach and King Koopa.
And she's just talking shit about Bowser.
She is demanding to play dress up.
Yeah, it's very important.
Or she will be upset.
She'll be very
and this
upset.
is when we see some wild fucking shit. Turns out King Koopa
Is a wizard.
is a wizard. He can magically change form into weird shit, and it's terrifying.
And also, he sounds like a nice guy. Like he is.
Yeah.
He is.
He's just like, hey, princess, it's me, King Koopa. I just wish you'd marry me.
He says, Peach, sweetie, over and over and over again.
He does. So he turns. She has him turn into a scarecrow. Then she says, I want you to turn into what she says is a hippo, but he turns into some kind of weird, mutated, I don't know, creature.
Yeah, it looked like a mix between a hippo and Ursula from The Little Mermaid.
Yeah. And then she goes, I want you to turn into a teddy bear. And he does, and she puts him in a little box to try to capture him. Yeah. And then the whole box turns into him, and he gets big again.
Yeah, and then he chastises her for trying to trick him.
And they have a very lengthy dialogue between Koopa and Peach about Peach marrying him.
Yeah.
Which you'll remember is a pretty major thing for King Koopa in the Mario
Odyssey,
mythos.
Yeah.
In Odyssey and in the new Mario movie, he's all about marrying Peach. Okay. So spoilers for the new Mario movie, Saturn. Sorry.
One of the RPGs as well, possibly Paper Mario.
So this is the first time we've seen him. Because in the manual, I don't believe it alludes to him wanting to marry her at all.
I don't know.
I'd be curious to check that. So yeah, very lengthy dialogue segment between these two.
Yeah.
And then
Peach has a musical number.
Yeah.
Where she confesses her love for Mario, a person that she briefly saw.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
How unfortunate. We do get back to
the gold mine.
The gold mine. Yeah. And I'll say Hammer Brothers pretty accurate.
Yeah.
He's one of the more accurate people or characters depicted.
Yeah.
We get Luigi, he finds the star.
Yeah.
And he dumps it into the fucking ocean for some reason.
Well, he was mining for gold because they were in a gold mine.
Yeah.
And he's greedy, and he's getting all these coins, but then his coins turned into rocks. Mm-hmm. And he was angry for no about reason. That. And so he was dumping all of his rocks into the ocean, and for some reason the superstar was in there with them.
Which he just didn't notice that he mined.
Clearly.
So then we get the underwater moment level, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
So kudos to them. They do include a lot of locales. They go, and anytime they're underground or in the mine, they're playing the underground theme.
Right.
They go to the water area. Yeah. Cheep Cheep is apparently a balloon that explodes into other Cheep Cheeps.
It's like a giant blowfish kind of thing, but then there's littler Cheep Cheeps. It's very confusing.
Mario has to get the star from a clam
by dressing as a pretty ballerina.
Much like in Mario 64, where there are things in clams underwater that you need to get.
I forgot about
I believe there might even be a star in a clam underwater.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just saying, allusions to this 1986 OVA.
Right.
Yeah, he does put on a one-piece swimsuit to try to seduce a clam.
Yeah.
Which is a sentence I never thought I would say.
Ballerina. Yeah.
Yeah. The squid thing shows up. I forget what it's called. Bloober. And it's, again, gigantic. It's the Kraken of bloobers.
Yeah, it's the size of a giant squid.
And they get in a ship, and the ship flies.
Yeah.
Just
the
like
from Mario
in
3.
Mario 3. Yes.
And also, if you've forgotten, their blue caterpillar dog is with them this whole time.
This whole time. Don't forget him. Don't forget, what's his name? Dingo?
Dongo, whatever.
Yeah. So now they're in a flying ship, just like in Mario 3. There are too many things that are just like later games for it to not be. I mean, it's got to be.
Yeah, they had to have taken some inspiration from this.
A lot over the course of Mario's history for something that is so not Mario-like.
Yeah. So Mario just starts spinning the wheel haphazardly because he thinks that's how you sail. It's just by spinning the wheel around, and that somehow breaks the entire ship.
We do then get we get to see the inside of Bowser's castle.
Yeah.
And it is very like Hammer Brothers and Koopas are doing some sort of weird satanic King Koopa ritual.
Yeah, and there's a shaman who's administering the wedding. It's very
who has just regular dancing maracas that he keeps shaking. But the whole thing is very like Bohemian Grove, like satanic looking.
Very strange. And throughout all this, Koopa keeps calling her Peach Sweetie.
Yes, in a very normal person voice. Yeah. I do want to mention the Koopas are just like the, in air quotes, Toads, in that all the Koopas are very distinct from one another.
True. Yeah.
In the castle, some of them look old or have different colored shells or different patterns. And I guess why I keep mentioning this is it's so much cooler to me than current Koopas and Toads that are just like
clones.
Copy and pastes of each other. Yeah.
I mean, I love in the Paper Mario games, you have some diversity in these races.
That's true.
But that's an exception.
It's just really cool to see that.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, there is the maraca-driven wedding ceremony. And the Koopa Castle is done in like a weird side view at like 5 FPS as the Mario Brothers are kind of infiltrating it. They do this sort of side view video game sort of view.
Right, yeah. They kind of try to make it look like the video game, like the fire bars and stuff are there.
But it's at this like insanely low FPS.
Yeah,
you can't tell what's happening.
Well, that's how video games work, Justin.
It's not, though.
Oh, yeah.
Because they were 60 FPS on the NES. I played it.
You know, maybe it's supposed to be emulating the frame rate of Donkey Kong. Because when you play Donkey Kong on Atari 2600, it's very similar to that frame rate.
So I will say the castle segments are relatively accurate. There's a lot of jumping over fireballs and pits and things, and it feels very Mario 1.
Yeah,
sure.
There's Podoboos and stuff.
There's also a moment where Mario falls into lava and then shoots up out of the lava, holding his butt after being set on fire and saying, ow, exactly like in Mario 64 Saturn.
And then Luigi goes mining for gold again and somehow bursts a water main and turns the lava into a hot spring.
I love the idea that there's a fucking there's water pipes in this ancient castle lived in by turtles. Like that they have plumbing.
Well, he had to get plumbing.
But then the weirdest part is it would have been a perfect moment to include pipes, like in Mario games, and they don't. No. There's no pipe involved.
Well, maybe Bowser installed the plumbing because he knew Peach was going to be moving in, and he didn't want her to feel foreign in his.
And then we get
castle.
some rice, and they do more product placement for Mario Furikake sushi sprinkles.
Yes.
For what the fuck is happening?
That was the weirdest product placement.
Because, Luigi pops in and they cut down to him and he's like disrobed and he's using the lava now like a hot spring and he's got a little thing of sake and he's got rice.
Yeah.
And it's they stopped the whole heist of rescuing Princess Peach to be like, oh, look at these Mario rice sprinkles. They're my favorite.
And then like the whole castle collapses in at that point, right?
Yeah. Yeah, basically. The whole thing falls apart.
Yeah.
And then a few things happen.
We get the showdown.
In which Mario doesn't seem to know what to do with the 3 weapons he's had, even though he has used the mushroom and the fire flower before. We saw it in the montages, and he's like, I don't know what to do.
And I loved how Luigi dug out of the ground with the superstar to meet up with Mario.
Yeah.
Right at the same moment, Bowser steps on them, and then Bowser says, "How does it feel to be squished?" Which that's a great line. That's a good translation.
And so then, just like in the new movie, Mario gets the star and defeats Bowser with it.
And also, just like in Super Mario 64, he grabs Bowser by his tail and throws him. And as Bowser is being thrown, he says, "Oh, I was beat up so easily." Also, great
I
line.
wish it was a joke. I wish that was a joke, and it's not. It's in the movie.
That's a great line.
I was beat up so easily. So,
and then when Bowser's castle's gone, then Peach's castle reappears out of nowhere.
Yeah, and it turns out,
and then our friend, the blue caterpillar dog.
Yep, the Dogapede.
He turns into Prince Hal of the Flower Kingdom.
Yeah, Prince Hal. which has to have been an allusion to HAL.
Yeah, it has to be a
Right?
reference to HAL Laboratories. I can't imagine that it's not a reference to HAL Laboratories.
And so he and Princess Peach, they're together now.
Yeah.
And Mario's upset.
Well, yeah, because he was in love with Peach and she was in love with him for minutes there until she remembered about Prince Hal.
Prince Hal, who they never mentioned, never came up, and just popped up at the end to foil Mario.
And then she immediately forgets Mario altogether because Hal is there. And she's like, okay, thanks, guys. We'll call you next time. Bye.
There is a post-credit scene where Bowser is suddenly in the real world working at Mario's store?
Yeah. And
Is that what it was?
Yeah, the old lady who had come in the beginning and was upset that Mario ignored her now comes in to order something, and Bowser gives her the thing, and she poses in a weird old lady anime pose.
Oh, also, when the lady is because in the beginning of the movie, she's trying to order stuff from Mario, and he's not listening. He's just putting random stuff up on the counter.
Yeah.
He puts a boot up there,
Yeah.
much like Karibo's shoe in Mario 3.
Okay, that was a stretch.
maybe I'm reaching.
That was a
Then
stretch.
he puts a big what do you call it? A radish up there
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
that looks just like Mario 2. Are those radishes? What are those? The white
turnips.
ones. Turnips. Thank you, turnip. Puts a big turnip on the counter, just like in Mario 2 US.
Yeah. Which would have been in development at this point, I imagine.
In just a 40-minute show, there are too many allusions to
Yeah.
later Mario things for this to not secretly be one of the more influential single works in the Mario canon.
Yeah.
And I think that is the most shocking realization for me to have.
Right?
That this has been, there's no other way to say it. This has been mined by Nintendo for Mario stuff for years now.
Despite it being completely non-canon, because so much of this is contradicted, and yet it is constantly referenced.
Yes. And so it is insane to me how influential this work was. And this shows that someone at Nintendo really liked it.
What I'm upset about is that we've never gotten a weird blue caterpillar dog in any of the games yet.
It kind of looks like the caterpillar from Mario World. A little bit.
It's not that close to the Wiggler.
Kind of,
No. It has dog ears.
This is true. It is indeed a dog. I'm not
Exactly.
disputing its
Right.
dog.
Yeah. That's
I have a quote from Andrew, which is, "It's like they didn't try." That's
I'd say they tried pretty well.
that was his assessment.
But I would say they tried, but they weren't trying for what Andrew is implying there. They were trying to sell some video games and some ramen and some sprinkles. That's what they were trying to do.
I'm still just blown away at how prophetic this was. It's
Very
it's
influential.
nuts to me.
Yeah.
It's absolutely nuts to me. I don't know if I mentioned it before or not. Peach is pretty accurately, visually anyway, depicted to the way Peach is later. Because I know a lot of the earlier Mario stuff, she looked different a lot of the time.
Yeah, there was some stuff that was all over the place, but the actual official character art for the first game was not too far off from what is shown here. And especially by the time the second Japanese game came out, they had kind of solidified some of the characters down.
Yeah.
And the one that is the strangest here is Luigi, because Luigi's design had been pretty well cemented by this point in Japan, except for in this movie. I don't know where they got these colors from.
Yeah, very, very. It's not even close to green.
Right.
Obviously there was no characterization of Luigi yet. At this point, he's just still a palette swap. So I'll give him credit there, but it's hard not to feel like Wario was a bit based on this version of Luigi.
And I would say that the Luigi we did get in more recent years in the games is based more on the American cartoons than on this cartoon, personality-wise.
For sure. So we do need to talk about how the movie was. Because I feel like historically, as people who have grown up with the Mario franchise, it is fascinating to watch this.
Yeah.
And it is, again, I'm still taken aback at how much stuff had to have come from here
Right.
for later Mario stuff. That said,
I would not recommend somebody watch this.
no, it's very bad.
Yeah, I struggle to come up with an explanation other than curiosity. Like, if you're just really curious about what it is and where it came from and how it played out, sure. You might watch the subtitle. I'm not knocking the people who dubbed it. They put in a ton of work, and I
Yep.
respect that. But that song
Yep.
is really painful.
Oh, here's a plot point. Koopa is going to... the date of their marriage was on Friday the 13th.
I forgot about that.
I don't know if we brought that up.
When he said that, I was like, I remember when he said that, I audibly said, but why?
So Jason Voorhees comes and kills him. So yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Am I being a little bit facetious? Am I reaching with some of these things? Maybe, yeah, some of it.
Yeah.
You know, yes, Mario did jump up in the air in Mario 1 after he fell into lava, or whenever he fell off a pit, really.
Oh, true, yeah.
But this one in the movie
When
looks
he fell into
so
lava
much.
in Mario, he just drops. He does not come back.
But this one in this movie looks so much like Mario
Oh, yeah.
64. Like, some of this, yeah, maybe it's reaching. Other bits of it, it cannot be a coincidence.
Yeah, a lot of this is a little too close to some of the things came later. Especially
But the movie-
throwing Bowser by his tail just
Yes.
felt way too spot on.
I really feel like, I kind of wonder, I know we were talking about how good or bad the movie is, but I just real quick, several of the things in this movie feel like Mario 64 kind of was paying homage to them.
True.
And I kind of wonder if when they went to Mario 64, they were like, we really need to reinvent Mario to work in the third dimension. And I kind of wonder if some of the designers were like, hey, let's go look at some of the weirder depictions of Mario just to get some ideas. And maybe some of them went back and rewatched this. I
Yeah.
don't know. The movie does suck a lot, though.
Tell us how you really feel, Justin.
You had to watch it in 2 parts just to get through it. I was watching it with
yeah.
Andrew, and I almost turned it off several times.
It took me 3 sessions to finish it.
It's only 40 minutes long, and I kept
know.
checking the timer, and I was like, I swear to God, this is going at like half speed. Are we watching this at half speed? What is happening?
I want to tell you some additional information about this.
Yes.
That you may not have researched. There was a soundtrack released, an LP released in Japan. It includes 12 tracks between its 2 sides.
Is Doki Doki Do It on there?
It is 3 times because that's 3 different songs with 3 different sets of I'm sorry, 2 of them have sets of lyrics. One of them is an instrumental version.
Yeah.
So you have Doki Doki Do It Dizzy in Love romance version. You have Doki Doki Do It Snap Smack Rock and Roll School version instrumental, and you have Doki Doki Do It Snap Smack Rock and Roll School version regular.
Oh, how exciting.
Yeah.
I am curious because this was, they did do product placement.
Yeah.
And there was an art book and a manga as well.
Mm.
And 3 riddle books. I don't know how the fuck you have 3 books of riddles for Mario in 1986.
I assume they're just riddles that happen to be Mario themed.
Yeah. So, but I would be interested to see the manga and the art book just at all, because this is, again, this is really pre-Mario canon Mario. And it's just, it's very not fun to watch, but historically.
They released a single of Doki Doki Do It.
Oh, man. Let's talk, I guess, legacy and final thoughts. They obviously made other Mario movies. They just came out with one.
Yeah.
And it's good. It's better than this movie.
I'm glad to hear that.
It's quite a bit better than this film was. So rest assured that, it's good. They made other Mario cartoons.
Yes.
That were, I'm going to say this, I've never said this about any of the Mario cartoons because I've experienced them, but they were better than this.
I loved those cartoons as a kid.
I loved them too, but apparently not because they were good. They're really not good. They're quite bad.
If
And granted, those were really kind of like semi-authorized, unauthorized versions of Mario 2.
yeah,
But it felt different because it was so far away from the source material.
Yeah.
This being produced in Japan in conjunction with Nintendo makes it feel so much more official, I guess, you know. But yeah, they've continued to make Mario things since this film made Mario a star.
Yep.
It made everyone aware of the video game, obviously. And nobody knew about it before this movie.
Never.
So that's
It's a shame this movie wasn't released internationally, because then the rest of the world would have learned about the game.
yeah. Then we might be playing Mario games today.
Right?
Who knows? With Blue Luigi in his mustard yellow shirt and his penchant for greed.
I will say, if you are not brave enough to watch this, but you do want to experience some old Mario media that kind of fleshes out the story a little better, Super Mario Adventures, that comic that was in Nintendo Power, is so much better.
It's so good. And there's
So
a
much
trade.
better. Yes.
It was a trade put out. I want to see Dark Horse did it, but it's available on Amazon. It's like $12.
Yeah.
It's a legitimately very funny and
So much
good
better.
comic.
Yeah.
It's great.
Oh,
Just
yeah,
a very
absolutely.
creatively done comic. If you're like a big Mario fan, it's hard. It's so bad that I even like people that are like, oh, I'm a huge Mario fan. I kind of want to be like, hey, it's not good.
Yeah.
It's really
It's rough. It's really rough.
Maybe if you're an animation fan and you like Mario a lot, you could kind of get through it. It's not fun doing it.
I feel bad because I know a lot of people put a lot of effort into making it available for us.
I'm so excited that it is available in 4K, that we can have these historical preservation-based thought experiments and postulations about it.
And that we can experience it in English, which
Yes.
Nintendo wasn't going to let us do that.
No.
So I am very thankful for everybody who worked on that. It's a Herculean effort that you put in, because I could not have done that. Not only because I don't know Japanese, but also because I would have made it very, very few sessions into this before I gave up.
Yeah. Final thoughts. It's bad. It's not very fun to watch.
It's rough.
Historically, it's interesting.
Yeah.
And surprisingly accurate to an NES game that has virtually no content to go off of.
Right.
So I'll say that about it. More accurate than the second Mario movie.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's not saying much.
Yeah. And
And I would personally like to see Kibidongo show up sometime in the future. Maybe
Yeah,
not as
Nintendo-
Prince Hal.
he could be in one of the. They should put him in Smash, Kibidongo in
There you
Smash. I'm gonna fight for that, or put him in the next Paper Mario if you
Yeah.
can make one of those that don't suck. I know you can. The same fucking people work there. I know you can do it.
You know, I think he would be a great little tutorial character. Like, if you're lost, he'll be there and he can give you the tutorial box that's like, go this way, you idiot.
He seems like some like deep cut Nintendo Land content.
Right?
You know,
Oh, man.
Nintendo Land was so fun.
That's such a good game.
What a fun ass game. Anyway, what else is fun is our Patreon.
You want to try that again?
It's nope. It's as good as it's gonna get this late at night. It's after midnight, and that's all I got in me. This movie sucked out my will to do anything more than that.
Ouch.
So yeah, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/retrowarriors. Please rate and review the show. It means a lot to us. We have merch available. Look, just go to the show description. There's a link and just click it. It's got all the shit there. I don't have to say it. You can read. You're an
man.
adult with a phone.
What if this is the episode you forgot to put it in the description?
I copy and paste it now, so I don't
good.
ever forget. I only had to do it right once, and now I copy and paste it from the previous week. So there you go. We have After Hours, which is a really fun show. Not After Hours, Read Along.
After hours. We've not
Well,
had
it's
that
still
in a while.
there. You can
That's
listen
true.
to it.
Yeah.
You can go listen to old Classic Corner that Andrew used to
Yeah.
do that's been
Those
long
are
since
great.
dead. Poor Andrew. We always made him play terrible games, but didn't tell him they were terrible. So, it was mean.
Ice Climbers episode is pretty great.
Anyway, we want to thank the following patrons for their very kind donations, starting with the Half Minute Hero.
And Casey McGinty.
Changed that name quick, didn't you? Mike Rotondo.
Norman.
Zero Scroll Fernando Benavides.
Chris Minocci.
Dave Nelson.
Matt Kovacs.
Jerry Voss.
And Chris Forbes.
Are all the patrons we want to thank for being better than this movie. So
you know what? That's an unfair comparison.
No matter what,
they're way higher standard than that.
No matter where you go in life, know that you're better than this movie. Okay?
Oof.
This movie got released. So whatever you're doing, it's good too, all right? It's good enough and you're good enough. Okay? Just remember that. If Super Mario Brothers: The Great Mission to Rescue Princess Peach got released, then anything I can do is good. Yeah. It's good enough. Just putting it out there. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next week. And as always, let us cling together.